Alright, so now it's time to continue our discussion about operators, and we're gonna look at the next operator which can be used to combine multiple expression, and that is the logical OR operator. And the logical OR operator evaluates an expression or multiple expression, in this case to true, if one of the condition is true or if both conditions are true. So let's see an example of this. But first, let's comment the code that we have here, because it will make things confusing. So go to code and select comment with line comment, or you can press the shortcut control slash. Now let's declare two variables down here. The first is going to be a val. I'm going to call it num1. I'm going to assign a value of 5 to it. Second is going to be also a val. It's going to be called num2, and I'm going to assign a value of 3 to it, or 4. Now I'm going to type the if then else statement. I'm going to type the if keyword. Inside the parentheses, I'm going to put the condition. First is if num1 is greater than 0. And now to use the logical OR operator, we type two vertical bars here. Now we put our next condition or our next expression, and that if num2 is also greater than 0. And we put a curly brace. Press enter to add the right curly brace. And we put also the else part. And inside the curly braces of the if, let's print some text. Let's say the condition is true. Alright, now if you run this code, you're gonna see the output, the condition is true, because now both conditions are true, and the logical operator returns true if both conditions are true or if one of the condition is true. So let's see if we change this to -3, and now our second condition, num2 greater than 0, is false. So now this is also going to evaluate to true, because the logical OR operator returns true if one of the conditions is true or if both conditions are true. So now we get condition is true. But if you change this to also to -5, now our both conditions are false. Now you're gonna see that it's gonna be executed the else part, because this condition now is gonna be false, because both conditions, both expressions, num1 greater than 0 and num2 greater than 0 are false. Alright, so let's change it back to 5. Now if you run this code, you're gonna see the condition is true, because at least one of the condition is true, which is this one, num1 greater than 0, even though the num2 condition is false. Alright, and this is how you can use the logical OR operator. Alright, now it's time to see how you can use the if then else statement as an expression. And that means that the if then else statement can return a value which can be stored in a variable. So let's see how you can do that. But first, actually let's keep this code that we have here. And to use the if then else statement as an expression, we declare a variable first. So I'm going to declare a val, and let's give it a name. I'm going to call it let's say text. And to use the if then else statement as an expression, we put equals, and after the equals we put our if then else statement. Now we need to assign a value to our variable text to use it as an expression, and the value is going to be the last expression in the curly braces. So here if I type the text, let's say this is text 1, and down here if I type in quotation marks this is text 2. Now if I add a println here at the end, and if I print the value of the variable text that we declare above, let's put a $sign, and if I type text here, now you can see our variable, it says that it's of type string. So if I run this code now, you're gonna see first this println inside the curly braces, which says the condition is true, and after that you're gonna see this text being assigned to our variable text, and it will be outputted down here by the println statement. So you see this is text 2. Actually, I was wrong. That condition is false because here you have -5 and -3, and this condition values to false. And the last expression in the curly braces is assigned as a value to our variable. Now, what you can also do is to remove the curly braces, but it's recommended to not use the curly braces if you have only one statement in your if then else statement. So let's delete the println here. Let's delete the curly brace here. Let's also delete the curly brace here. Let's delete the println statement here, and let's also delete the curly brace here. So now this will work the same. It will work like previously, but so now you'll see the same output without the condition, without this text. The condition is false because now we don't have the println statement. So now we get this is text 2 because this condition evaluates to false, and it assigns this value to our variable text. Then down here it prints it. So also you see that this they are not aligned here, this our variable. And to format your code, just go to code and click reformat code, or press Ctrl Alt L on Windows, or you can use another shot. You can use the corresponding shortcut on Linux or Mac. So click on code, and now you're gonna see that our code is formatted. If you run this, now see this is text 2, but let's change this to 5. Now this condition will evaluate to true, and this expression is gonna be assigned to our variable text. So if we run this, you're gonna see this now. Our variable text is assigned the value of this is text 1 because this condition is true, and assign this value. To make things more clear, you can use you can type your code something like this. Now this does the exact same thing as previously. So if you run this code now, you're gonna see that now it says the same thing. This is text 1. Now you may be wondering what type this variable is. So if you hover over it, it says that it is of type string. But look, what can I do? I can put here a number. So if this condition evaluates to false, this is going to be assigned to our variable test. So if I run this now, now get this is text 1, and let's put here -5 for the condition to be false. And if you run this code now, now you're going to see 5. And you may be wondering how this makes any sense, because previously our variable was of type string, but if you hover over here, now it says val text, and the type is this thing, comparable anyway. But what is simply doing here is looking at the condition. It's looking first at the if statement, and if this condition is true, then it assigns our text to our variable, and then it infers the type to be a string, right? If this condition is false, then this part is skipped, and then it assigns this value of 5 to our variable text, and then our variable is going to be of type int. So there is no case in which both values going to be assigned to our variable. So this is why you can use here text and here an integer, even though. But if you declare explicitly here that this variable is going to store only strings, only sequence of characters or text, now here you get an warning because it says the integer deleted does not conform to the expected type stream. So in other words, we cannot put here a number because we said that explicitly here that this is going to store only strings. But if you omit the type, that is going to work. So you can decide what, depending on the context, what to choose. So this way of writing the if then else statement in one single line like we have here, it's okay as long as we use the if then else statement as an expression, or in other words, if you're assigning a value to a variable, like in our case. But if you have multiple instruction in your also if you have a single instruction, you can also omit the curly braces. But most of the time it's recommended to use the curly braces because that allows us to execute more than one instruction or the statement in your code, and it also makes the code more clear. So let's change this code from an expression to just an if then else statement to see why. So I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna add the curly braces. Let's format the code. Press Ctrl Alt L. Alright. And also let's change this. Let's delete this text. Let's add two println statements here. Alright. Now if you run this code, you're gonna see this part execute, the else part, because this condition is false. Both of our condition, respectively num1 is not greater than 0, and also num2 is also not greater than 0. So this is gonna return false, and it's gonna execute the else part. Right, but now if you change this to 5, and now one of the conditions is gonna be true, and as you know, this entire expression is gonna evaluate to true now, because at least one of the expression is true. So if you run this code, now you see this condition is true, and also we see our second println statement, this condition is true, and some text. But look what happens if I let's say if I delete the else part, right? And if I delete the curly braces here, alright? And now if I run this code, you see that now both statements are executed. But as I said, if you don't use curly braces, just only one of the statements is gonna be executed. So why you have both of these? Because first is executed as part of the if statement, because this condition is true, and the next one is executed because it's part of the code, because it's read from top to bottom. But if I change this to false, and now I want both statements, respectively with this one and this one, to not be executed, look what happens. Now get this condition is true and some text. So the first instruction in our if then statement is omitted because it's part of the if then statement, but the second one it's executed because it's part of the code, so it's gonna be read anyway. So this is why you need to always use curly braces. In this way, the entire code is gonna be either executed or omitted. So this is our discussion about the if then else statement, and you should always use the curly braces, and for the else part you should use the curly braces, and only omit the curly braces if you have only one single statement or one single expression. If you want to use the if then else statement as an expression to assign a value to a variable. But if you have just one single statement, let's say you have something like this, you can omit the curly braces like this. So now you can see that everything works fine. So you can use it like this. If you have one single statement like we have here, you just print some text to our console, or if you use it as an expression, so if you store a value in a variable. So see you in the next video.